All right, well, good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I know we've got a smaller group here, so you'll be able to ask any question you want, even if it was full house. But we're going to still go through the full presentation. I really want to take advantage of the opportunity for everybody to hear the message, and I know a lot of people I've talked to already have said, hey, this is no tax increase bond issue. I see it. I see the need. I'm a yes. Don't even bother explaining it to me. I said, well, I appreciate that you're a yes, and appreciate people who maybe that think like you are also yeses, but I'd like to still, kind of go through and answer, or, some of the common questions so that if you run into somebody that has a question, you might be able to answer it for them. And so hopefully you guys by the end of this will find yourselves in that same spot. We're also recording it so that if anybody misses a presentation that they have access to it online. So Wade Steinoff, I'm the superintendent here at Orchard Farm. It's an exciting place to be and a fun time in Orchard Farm with all this growth. And we've kind of found this really neat spot where we've been able to maintain all the things that made Orchard Farm a really special place for a long time, while also expanding and growing with new folks into the community and still maintaining all those things that have made us special. So, Prop E, there's no special hidden trick to what Prop E means. Prop E for an elementary school. We have to select a letter, and so that made sense to us. A couple important things on this first slide. No tax rate increase, and that's really important, especially coming off if you're in the community. When we passed the tax increase to build this new high school, that was a tax increase. And so we want to be really clear, a no tax rate increase this time. And then for a new third elementary school, we want to be clear about that. As we were building a new high school, I was asked quite a few times, are you going to tear down the old high school? What's going to happen to that? You just want a new high school? No, we needed more space. We needed more room. And that's what this is. This is not to replace one of our existing elementary schools. It's to build a new elementary school for which you'll see we're out of room. So I did a question and answer format so that really folks that are only checking out this presentation online, they would be able to kind of follow along. So what is Prop E? No tax rate bond issue. For a new third elementary school. Of course, when you go to the ballot, you'll see a whole bunch more language, and it won't look as clear as just no tax rate for an elementary school. This is what you'll see when you go to vote on April 2nd. Hopefully all of you go to vote. I can't tell you how to vote, but I can encourage you to vote. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll see that the need is very real for us. So what you'll see on here is a bunch of language from the bond and tax attorneys of how this has to read. It reads very similar to any tax increase or bond issue the school district has had or any tax entities ever had. But a couple of things I'll point out. One is that it's for $72 million. It's going to be to build and then to operate a third elementary school. There's a whole bunch of verbs here. Acquire, construct, improve, renovate, repair, furnish, equip, a whole bunch of things that basically comes down to just simply building a new elementary school. We're told that all of these, we, myself, and the school board work to say, how can we make this as simple as possible? And the attorneys were very clear that all of these need to be in there on a project like this. But really, it comes down to building a new elementary school. And then here's the second part I want to point out. And refinance leasehold obligations. And we'll walk through that. That's about how we funded the high school and how that's that part of operating the elementary school. The part here that talks about no tax rate increase would be where you see resulting in no estimated increase in the debt service property tax levy. It's to remain unchanged. And we'll go through in detail how that works. So, again, a no tax rate increase to build and operate a new third elementary school. All right. At this point in the presentation, I figure some folks might need some reassurance. Hold up. Are you sure it's a no tax rate increase? The high school was, and you are exactly right. The new high school was a tax increase. It was advertised as a tax increase, passed as a tax increase, very much was. And we're very much sure that this is not a tax rate increase. This is a bond issue, a no tax rate increase bond issue. And we'll talk about, we simply didn't have enough bonding capacity as a school district to build a project this size, this high school, by just through bond money the first time. So the tax increase supported that. We now have enough bonding capacity, the amount that we can borrow. There's a formula that really directs how much a school district can borrow. Like if you're going to take out a second mortgage on your home, how much is your home worth? How much have you paid off? Kind of how much you can borrow. And as our community has grown, we've become worth more as a school district. More homes, more businesses, our value has increased. We continue to pay off our other debt, and now so we have more capacity to borrow the money. Why do we need a third elementary school? Well, we've grown quite a bit. We can continue to grow, and we're out of space. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch singled Orchard Farm School District out, and they said we had the highest rate of growth in the entire region. We're the biggest winner. More than anyone else in St. Charles County, more than anyone else in St. Louis County, more than anyone else in Franklin, Warren, Jefferson County. The largest, quickest, fastest growing school district in the entire region by percentage. So congratulations, we're the big winner. A lot of people are not surprised to hear that this is the largest the school district's ever been as far as enrollment. 2,300 kids, that was in August. We continue to get more each and every day. We've grown, like we saw, over 17% the last 3 years. We have the highest number of kids in preschool in the history of the district, and when we look at the demographics of the new families that are moving in, there's a lot of kids that aren't even school age yet. A lot of young families. The two smallest grade levels in the entire district are juniors and seniors. We have about 140 juniors and seniors. Everyone else is between about 180, 185 to 200. So a big difference in these two small juniors and senior classes leaving. There's a whole lot of numbers to see up here. What we want to highlight is that we have 195 kindergarten kids. It's the most kindergarten kids in the history of the district, but it's not just like a one-year thing. If you look at our 3-year trend, it wasn't so long ago, 2008 to 2010, that we had about 116 kids that we averaged in kindergarten. But that's been a steady increase all the way up to currently almost 200. What do the experts say? I went to school initially to be a 7th grade social studies teacher. So, Wade, how could you just predict what the future will say for our enrollment growth? So we went to the experts, demographers, professional demographers that do this work for school districts and for government entities. And we had in August, our August enrollment, the projection that was done in 2016, we exceeded their highest growth projection. In 2016, that study said, if it goes crazy out here, this is the most you'll have. And we've exceeded that. We had another study done recently in April of 2023. And they did a 10-year study for projection for how our enrollment would go. 4 months later, from April to August, we already almost doubled where they said we would be just 4 months from then. Here's where we were for the 2016 study. And what I like about this slide is the red line shows their highest projection. The black line is our actual growth. And I think when you look here at the years, you can see that this signifies that, when you look here between 19 and 2021, this really rapid growth. We had steady growth, but this shows that it's not just about Newtown's growth and development, not one single community, but this was all of Charlestown. And recently, we've seen other builders make their way into our communities. Builders see that people are moving here. They want to be here. And when they're running out of room, it's the next subdivision and the next subdivision. They're in it to make money, and they've seen that this is a place where they can sell homes. Our 2023 study, whole lot of data up here. Basically, they just had to fast forward 4 months. And they said we'd go up 4%, we went up 6.5% just in those 4 months. Now, a demographer's job is difficult. You're projecting, kind of like a weatherman. But one thing's consistent is every time they've projected, we've exceeded their growth to this point. So, with all the growth, people have said, well, it can't be just about an elementary school. I've had people ask, would you need a second high school? No, this building, we have 700 kids here now. We designed it in the initial build for over 1,000 kids. We've got room here to grow on this site. You know, it's kind of the, can't say never, but this is the one and only Orchard Farm High School. It's hard to imagine this community ever needing a second high school. This high school could grow to 2,500 kids with the design and continue to grow. So this is the high school. Our middle school and junior high, plenty of room to grow in those spaces. So it really does just come down to elementary school. We had a next steps committee of about 50 folks, parents, staff members, administrators, board members. We spent about a year looking at how we could make the best use of our facilities in the district. And that was the decision where we moved 5th grade, starting next year, out of the elementary school and into the middle school to join 6th grade. 7th and 8th grade join each other at the old high school as a junior high. That met our immediate need of needing room in the elementary schools, but also, I was a middle school teacher and principal for a long time. It was a really smart, what we found was a really good fit. 6th graders always almost lived a different life than 8th grade. They were never a great fit together. So 5th and 6th, really we saw that. The community, the teachers, the staff saw that as a really good fit together. 7th and 8th grade as a great fit. And again, makes really good use out of our facility space. So it comes down to the need is just about elementary school. That's great because we're ready to deliver that just in time. So if you're sitting there, you might say, okay, you've made your point. Wade, good job to this point. We get that you need another elementary school, but could it wait? Well, the district's always been one step ahead. And considering it takes 2 to 3 years to build an elementary school, really the time is now. This would be our plan. Should we be successful on Prop E, April 2nd, we would open a new elementary school August 2026 right next to this building. I'll show you why that 2 years is important for us. First, did you know, Orchard Farm Elementary right now has more kids in it than it had when the voters approved to build Discovery Elementary in 2007. So right now there's more kids in the building at the moment than when there was when the voters decided to build a second elementary school. And this is a building that has less capacity for kids. We have new programs, great programs that serve the needs of students. Our Innovation Technology Classroom, our Teams Classroom for students with high special needs. A number of other programs that take space in the building that simply weren't offered in 2007. So we're fitting more kids into a building that has less space than it had then when we approved Discovery. So if it takes almost 3 years to build another elementary school or to open it, 2 to 3, I say we're at 2006 because we've started the process right now. If you look at our recent growth, we've grown 17% the last 3 years. If we grow 17% the next 3 years without a new elementary school, we are out of room, we won't make it. But if we say, you know what, recent growth has been that's been an outlier maybe. If you're a data person, you say, that's an outlier. Well, let's look at our average growth. Almost 9% over the last 15 years. Average growth. At average growth, we won't make it. We'll run out of space. If you cherry pick and you find the lowest growth over the last 3 years, you find the worst 3 years of growth that we've had as a community, it was 5% growth. Maybe. If you could hand pick, and we are only taking 10 third graders, 6 first graders, and you get them to all fall in the right spots, we might be able to make it one more year with the worst growth years. But if you go at our projected growth, the demographers project another 16% growth over the next 3 years. Demographers that have guessed too low each time, we won't make it. So how much space is really left right now? 3 to 4 classrooms at the elementary school. 3 to 4 classrooms. So how long could we make it? Well, here's where we're at. Discovery right now has 0 classrooms open. Right now. But again, those 5th graders, they leave for next year. So it opens up 3 classes. 3 5th grade classes leave. We've got 3 rooms. We just added another 3rd grade class for next year because they've grown. They've got a support service space that has moved to a storage closet this year. We'd like to put them back into the space that they traditionally use. So that would give us one classroom to make it till 2026. Should be able to be, hopefully, just in time. Orchard Farm Elementary, 0 open classrooms. 5 fifth-grade classes leave the elementary school this summer and join the middle school, opening up 5 classrooms. Well, we continue to grow. We have 2 additional classrooms we have to add next year. The 3rd grade group has gotten big, so them in 4th grade next year that have added, and there's another grade level. They also have a support service that has moved out of a space and into the hallway. Probably if you're the teacher that performs or delivers that service in the hallway, you'd say that doesn't work. I would say that it's worked in a pinch, and so we've got 2 to 3 rooms for growth there. So again, you'd stop and pause and say, did I hear you correctly? You had 8 classrooms that were going to open up for next year, and you're down to 3 to 4? That is correct. All 8 of them. So 3 to 4 left. So how long could we make it? Not long. This is what we've done recently. In 2022-23, we added 2 classes at Orchard Farm Elementary. For this year, the 23-24 school year, we added 3 classrooms. 1 at Discovery, 2 at Orchard Farm Elementary. And for next year, we're adding at least 3 classrooms. Depends on how kindergarten, you never know how kindergarten will come in. Hopefully we'll be able to meet those needs with the staff we have, but if we need to, we'll need to add another section, another teacher. So how long can you make it? Well, not long. We've added 6 just this last... Hey, Greg, do you mind hitting that? We've added 6 just these last 2 years. All right. So if you're kind of getting the sense that we can't wait because we need the space, that's one big point. Another point people have asked is, well, what about cost? And, maybe things will get cheaper in the future. If you're into construction, you'll see that rarely is that ever a thing. Inflation and construction costs, Greg, do you mind putting it onto the presentation mode? Or is it? We'll try from here. Inflation, construction costs, they increase. We saw COVID send costs sky high. They didn't return. They just leveled off and created a new norm for which inflation and costs increase annually. So on a project this size, our best guess is that we would probably increase $2.5 to $3 million to wait 1 year, just off of typical construction increases and inflation increases. This is kind of fun if you live in the area to kind of go down memory lane. So again, thinking about our community in 3 years, how much things can change. This is a community that has grown significantly despite COVID, despite increasing costs. July 2020. This is the big hub around where we have our central office and preschool and the new high school. To May 2023, and when we look at each of these spaces separately, here's our preschool, central office. You can see in 2020, this wasn't even a thought. To 2023, this was May of 2023, that's pretty much filled in if you go through that area right now. Pretty well filled in. Down here, the River Breeze Estates wasn't even a thought 3 years ago. My eyes have kind of gotten used to seeing it now. By 2023, in May, now in 2024, that's basically, for the most part, pretty well filled in. This area is referred to as the Beach District in Newtown. You can see to May of 2023 how things changed. That was the last time that Google had updated their Google Earth. But a lot of these areas went from just the streets being poured to completely filled in with homes. Newtown has 600 to 800 homes depending on their layout for here. And it seems like that's really far away. And you'll see on the next slide, once the streets are there, we've seen from Charlestown, it's gone pretty quick. This was May 2023. If you go over into that area now, you'll see that most of the streets are ready. 4 homes. Here we are at the new high school over here, 2023, where we sit right now. Again, 3 years ago, things looked a lot different. This whole area looked different. They were still working on this first Charlestown section down here. We've seen all of that happen. Heck, this section here in May 2023 was just streets. You can look across from us right now. That's filled in quite a bit. Newtown, 600 to 800 new homes in that area. Charlestown Meadows. Now, this was the update I had in September. Charlestown Meadows was still adding homes. There's very few left to add there. Charlestown Landing, still adding homes. It's good how it is, Greg. Charlestown Landing, still adding homes. They had 100 in September. I don't know the number, but it's much fewer now. River Breeze. This is a planned development now that Boshertown curve is in, leading to Highway B, so there's a planned development there. I think there's some land advertised for sale in purple. And future, well, it's hard to say, but we do know that this is a desirable place to live, to send your kids to school, to work, to play, to have fun. And if home builders are seeing that they're able to sell homes, I doubt they stop where they're at. This just happened about 2 weeks ago. The demographer there wasn't even a consideration for anything outside of this section here around around Boshertown, Newtown Boulevard, and Highway B. This is on the other side of 370, so we have 370 going through here. You come down and you get to McDonald's, you get to Sugar Fire, or my family favorite, Doozel's over here. And you come around, here's Deerfield community. 101 home sites were approved just a couple weeks ago to expand Deerfield. This is a community that I don't know exactly when they'll start, but could go very quickly. You're not building a full home there. You're putting a concrete pad, and you're bringing a utility for a mobile home to come there. We have a very high concentration of kids that come from that community. So the fact that it could, once it starts, it could happen quick. Again, this isn't even a part of any demographer's projection. So that surprised us. If I've done decent tonight, you might be sitting there saying, okay, I get your point. It's clear we need another elementary school. You also made a point that we need it now. I get it. I'm all for it. What would happen without a third elementary school? And that's where it's kind of hard of like, I've run into other administrators, superintendents, and they'll say, you need to threaten them that there's going to be a trailer out there. You're going to have high class sizes. I think I can say the same thing without being threatening. If you have the same amount of space, what happens if we don't build another elementary school? You have the same amount of space to fit more kids. More kids, same amount of space. Yeah, class sizes go up. What would happen? Class sizes would have to go up. If we didn't want to accept larger class sizes, and we're not going to build another school, well, yeah, one of the most common solutions is then to bring in a portable classroom, to bring in a trailer into the parking lot as a classroom. It's happened before. It's happened in other school districts. It's happened in Orchard Farm School District before. But we have an opportunity right now to pass Prop E and deliver another elementary school just in time to avoid both of those things. All right, so the second part, when I went back to what the ballot language would look like, let's talk about and let's just visit on what that refinancing is about. So you're sitting there saying, I'm on board with the elementary school. Help me understand the refinancing of the lease. So let's walk through that. In 2020, voters approved very generously a 55-cent tax increase in our community. That was to build a new a new high school. And that generated $55 million. That was the estimate in 2018 for a new high school. 55-cent tax increase to generate $55 million. The cost in 2020 was $85 million. Now, we can't completely curse out COVID for that. We changed a lot of things. We changed the design of the building to support 30% more kids. We went from about a 700 or 750 kid building to over 1,000 kid building. We added more classrooms. We added more office space. We made our commons. We looked at the vision of the building and what it would maybe one day need to be. We made our common space bigger. We made our kitchen bigger. Things that we could never build a second time. We made larger to support the future of a larger building. $93 million by the time you get furniture, all the soft costs, all the fees in there. So if the community gave us $55 million in the form of that tax increase, how did we come up with the rest of it? Well, we took a second lease on our own, the district and the school board, for $45 million. Took a second loan that we're paying straight out of our operating funds. The same money that we use to pay people's salary, to turn on the lights, to pay our utility bills, to buy resources, to buy soccer balls, chemistry equipment, all that stuff we're paying for out of that. When traditionally, like we will with the new elementary school, you pay for that out of a separate fund, your debt service fund. So we borrowed $45 million so we could deliver on the new high school. The plan now would be to pass this bond issue, to build the elementary school, but then also to operate that. And by operating it, I mean we would take $32 to $35 million from this bond issue and refinance our second lease on the high school, which we're paying out of operating, and move that to the traditional method of the debt service fund. The debt service fund exists only to pay debt in a school district. That's its only reason for existing. So by us moving this, we'll be able to continue to operate, to continue to pay people, to hire new people when we need to and as we grow, without needing to ask for a tax increase. If you look at the history of the school district, tax increases have really been a generational occurrence. Our current school board, that's how they view it, a generational experience. We can't pinpoint exactly when another tax increase might be needed, but we view that as a generational thing. It's likely not going to happen in many of their tenure. Likely wouldn't happen in my tenure. So we have a plan to continue to meet the needs of the community without another tax increase. This next slide, I'm not going to go through all this, but it sits on the district webpage to kind of walk somebody through what I explained of how we got to that point, so that they're like, hey, I'm still stuck on that, and I didn't hear the presentation. This might guide somebody. So at this point, I think of a question and answer. Somebody might say, just to clarify, do we have to do both of those things? Can't you just build it and maybe save the other thing for another time? No, we couldn't operate a third elementary school without it. We couldn't hire the additional people, buy the additional supplies, pay the additional bills without refinancing that lease out of our operating funds and into debt service. I talked about this, again, a lease strictly paid out of our operating funds. The general obligation bond, there's a specific dedicated fund to pay debt. That's its job in the school district. That's its job, is to pay debt. And so we want to take, through this bond issue, we want to take some of that debt that we're paying on our own and move it to where it doesn't impact our ability to hire people, to pay people, and to buy things that are needed in the school district. Okay, Wade, I get it. Can you tell me again why we had to do a tax increase for the high school? I'm still stuck on that. Yeah, we couldn't borrow enough when we built the high school. There was no way. Again, how I explained how much we were worth, we couldn't borrow that much. There's a limit, a formula by the state for how much can be borrowed. And so we couldn't. So a tax increase. Now we've grown. We have the ability to borrow more and to transfer a portion of that. I talked with someone, and that's where this question came. One of my friends said, well, actually, this sounds great. Maybe I figured it out. Can we get that 55-cent tax increase back now? If we vote for this and you're doing that refinance thing? No, we can't, because that 55-cent tax increase will continue to pay for the $55 million first lease. That needs to stay there to pay that first lease. This is about the additional money that we borrow to complete the project. This last tax year was difficult for many. Folks saw their cars that were a year older, have more miles on them, all of a sudden become worth more, according to the county assessor. They saw their home that's a year older furnace, that they made no improvement to, become worth considerably more. And that was frustrating. I've talked to people and they said, you had to have raised the taxes again and we just didn't know. No, our tax rate actually has gone down. That 55-cent tax rate that was passed in 2020, that's gone down to 36.5 cents now. It's lower 18 cents. Now that doesn't mean you're paying less to the school district in your taxes. We understand that you're paying more. But there's a provision, there's a safeguard for taxpayers called the Hancock Amendment that puts a cap on how much a taxing entity like a school or any other taxing authority or entity, how much we can gain as your property becomes worth more. So there's a strict formula that caps so that a school district doesn't see a windfall of money just because your property becomes worth more. So that forces us into rolling our taxes back. So it is true that most everybody is paying more in their taxes today than they paid a few years ago. That's absolutely true. We know that's difficult. But it is also true that our tax rate has actually become less because we can't get a windfall of money just because your property is becoming worth more. You might be sitting there saying, sounds good, I just need you to look me in the eyes, Wade, and tell me one more time you swear it's not a tax increase. And I'll do that for any single person. I'll give you my cell phone number and I'll call anybody you want and tell them, yes, absolutely not a tax increase. We know the high school was, this absolutely is not. And again, our current school board has a plan to ensure that tax increases are seen as a generational thing. So, very clear, Prop E is not a tax rate increase. One more thing about these taxes. Would our taxes drop? We get that they won't go up, but will they go down if we vote no? No, they won't. You vote no, they don't go down. You vote yes, they don't go up. If you vote no, we just won't have an elementary school. We won't have space to support the additional kids that come to us. Tax rates will remain the same regardless of how you vote on Prop E. One more thing. You've got me excited about this elementary school. Where would it go? Oh, it'll go right here. As you came in, you saw our baseball, softball fields. We're kind of sitting right here. So we've got space for this. The school board saw a vision when they bought this property that it could support more than just a high school. So one, we purchased the property many, many years ago, saving on current property costs. We also put a lot of infrastructure into this site already. We've got sewer, water, a lot of utilities here ready to go that we'll be able to take advantage of. This main drive we built intentionally to support traffic flow to an elementary school site here. Elementary schools don't need a lot of parking every day, but they need a lot of parking some days. So you've got overflow parking for some of those events. And then the high school will be able to take advantage of the extra parking that the elementary school provides during certain events. So a lot to take advantage of there. This is a look of the elementary. It follows a lot of the look and feel of the new high school. We definitely want it to look like an elementary school, so you see some color there. We followed the look of the Nancy Goki Plaza. We duplicated that look in a couple spaces. So feel really excited about that. There's a lot of things to like about our current buildings, and we really worked with our staff to understand what would be the same in our buildings currently and what would change. So we feel really good about the design. And again, I can't tell you how to vote. I certainly can encourage you to vote. If you're sitting here saying, I feel really good about it, Wade, count me in. I challenge you to go find some more people that you can talk to about this message, because we feel it's really important. And if you're saying, hey, I'm more of a quiet person, I don't really like to stir things, get out there on that give them my card, give them my anything. I've got a handful of cards right now. I'd be happy to talk to anybody because we really, we feel like we can get this elementary school delivered just in time. But if we wait, it could be just too late. And we suffer the fate of some of those things like more kids in classrooms, higher class sizes, or needing to provide mobile classroom solutions. So appreciate your time. I'm happy to answer any questions from our rowdy crowd tonight. Got the gentleman in the back. I paid him to be here. That's my father. Hey, Dad. But he is a voter, so appreciate that. Any questions anybody might have?
What's your average class size in town?
So we really aim at the kindergarten, first grade level especially to have lower class sizes. They fluctuate, but our goal there is to really be between 19 to 21. Sometimes we'll see that that'll grow to a 22. A couple years ago, we got hit with kindergarten, a bunch of late July, early August, that brought that up. Most of our elementary classrooms right now, since we've added, are in a very comfortable spot, about 20 to 21 kids per class.
One more question.
Yeah.
Have you factored in the senior freeze on the property taxes, and how would that affect this if it, when it passes?
Yeah, so we, that senior freeze, everybody is trying to figure that out, because every county has either done nothing in the state of Missouri. Some counties have done nothing. St. Charles County took a little bit of a unique approach in how they're applying that versus some of the other counties. And to this point, we haven't been given an actual impact dollar amount other than to know we'll see a decrease. And what that means is that won't impact Prop E and our ability to of the amount of funds that we could gain from that, but it could cause more of an issue if we're not able to refinance and move that money from operating over to debt service. I've had some people ask me, so I live close, I'm curious which school my kid would go to. I'll tell you that August of 2025, we would get the new enrollment numbers in, and we would then work with a demographer to set where the boundary lines. Discovery's already pretty well established as a neighborhood school, but it's natural that we would pull some students out of there and redraw their lines so that they have room to grow and deal with the ebb and flow of each year. So you'd see probably the most dramatic impact at Orchard Farm Elementary and students moving over to this school. So that's a question some people have had. Yeah, the park, I've had the opportunity to be on kind of their sounding board group, and if you would have asked me 3 months ago, I would have said it sounds like it's 10 years away. It just was kind of deflating. I've got my youngest is a third grader, and I'm like, well, goodness, he'll be off to college before it's ready. But recently, I think they've narrowed down their focus, and it went from this project that just no one could envision them having the money for to now a more reasonable thing. I was at something about 2 months ago, and the talk, the energy, nothing specific, but their energy was more of like a 4 to 5 year window of delivering something. I don't think it's soon, but they now got something kind of reined in. And it was really neat. They had a lot of outdoor spaces. They had instead of a field house that would draw basketball and volleyball tournaments from all across the country, it was more of a community use type of space than a 10-court basketball court kind of thing. But yeah, that park will be a great add for the community. Can't wait to see it done. Yes, ma'am?
This was a really big, long answer. You said you weren't going to add standard school buildings. Is the preschool, how's that work?
Love that question. Love it. So the preschool, award-winning, great program. We're so excited the preschool's probably in its 7th or 8th year, and it's just been an amazing program. We are running out of space there. We're adding another classroom for this year to the last open space In doing so, had to open up a large space to put some of our testing area, a large storage closet to put our testing area in. So we're out of space there. Going back to that slide about the high school at 93 million, and if you did the addition of the 55 and the 45 million that we borrowed, that means we have about $7 million left over. We also were able to take advantage of the interest rates as we borrowed this money on the high school project, and we made a few $1 million in interest over that time period. And so we've got about $9 million that we'll be able to, once the elementary school, we lock that in, and we lock in a bid on that. We're very hopeful that we'll be able to then apply that $9 million to the preschool expansion. We've drawn out and worked with architects on a 6-classroom addition for that building that if, again, our timeline puts us at like December for going out to bid for that. And so the bonus, while it's not a promise, but the bonus is that we would be able to deliver that project without any additional ask at all, kind of a bonus project. And we're excited about that. I appreciate everybody's time tonight. If you want to visit, I'll be up here. But I appreciate you. And if we have another community night next week, we're going to be out at the main campus, out at Orchard Farm Elementary. Next Monday night, we'll also look to see if there's any more need for community nights. Again, I'm running into people that are very encouraged and positive, but you know, it all comes down to the day, April 2nd, and so we know that we need this elementary, and we need your support for it. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.